Okay. Today, we're going to study represent supplier diversity efforts. So I'm still rolling here. So the task is represent the organization's supplier diversity efforts with advocacy groups, boards, and other external organizations. So this is all about presentation skills. When presenting, supply management professionals must consider the communication objective. We went over this in K3. Educate, inform, persuade, etc. Recognize the factors affecting the environment in which the communication is to take place. Recognize the importance of selecting the appropriate medium. Develop the proposal for the ultimate decision maker who may not actually be present at the meeting. And all of this is in their 7-step proposal or presentation process from K3. So presentation advantages: gather all participants together in a decision-making process and provide an opportunity to ensure uniform understanding. Professional representation or spokesperson skills. Consider the following when communicating both within and outside the organization. Constant reinforcement of strategic functional criteria should be an integral part of all meetings. Use different methods, visits, mailings, meetings, to communicate. As commerce becomes more global and business increasingly reflects a mix of cultures, supply management professionals must understand how to communicate with each culturally diverse supply base. And no matter the circumstances, the supply management professional is seen as a representative of his or her organization and should behave accordingly. So representing the organization to effectively communicate a message, supply management professionals should understand the audience and its cultural norms, be well prepared and well versed in the subject, practice several times prior to delivering the speech or presentation, establish a rapport with the group or interviewer whenever possible, deliver the message in a brief, concise manner, provide solid real-world examples when possible, and deliver the message and answer questions openly and honestly. Position themselves in such a way as to ensure the audience can clearly see any visuals. Be consistent, ensure the message is consistent with the organization's vision, and be aware of nonverbal communication. Culturally diverse communication. As the supply management becomes more global, supply management professionals must understand how to communicate with the culturally diverse supply base. The use of time. Some cultures strongly driven by time, while others are more relaxed. Supply management must adjust their communication accordingly. And then you've got individualism versus collectivism. Some cultures seem to focus on the winner being an individual, and these cultures, supply management should seek the top person on the supplier's team. This is individualism. And other cultures concentrate on the team aspect of a group. When dealing with these cultures, supply management usually has to convince the whole team. These are usually Asian cultures. Role of orderliness and conformity. Some cultures, such as those in the Pacific Rim, are characterized by a high need for orderliness and conformity. In these cultures, more emphasis is on behavior than content. And there's a great deal of attention paid to rituals, such as exchanges of business cards, etc. Some cultures, like the United States, are generally more concerned with the content of a presentation than the procedures relevant to the process. And some cultures have a much more informal communication style. For example, it's common to use first or given names, especially in places like the United States. Patterns of communication. Cultures are considered high text. Some cultures are considered high text, such as the Pacific Rim, where the meaning of the message is embedded in the context of the communication. The responsibility is placed on the receiver of the information to comprehend the message based on its context. Some cultures considered low text, such as US, Canada, and Western Europe. The meaning of the message is what it says. Don't read anything into it. Nonverbal communication, body language is important when delivering messages. So facial expressions, hand gestures, eye contact, touching, and amount of physical space needed vary among cultures. Americans generally prefer to have a great deal of space around them and do not like physical contact from strangers. Latin American, Middle East cultures, it's not uncommon to take a position near a person they're speaking with. This is done to establish contact with the person. Professional trade associations. In the U.S., the Small Business Administration has a computerized directory of small disadvantaged businesses and women-owned businesses, known as ProNet. Contains more than 195,000 businesses. It's an electronic gateway to procurement information for about small business. Minority business directories are also available. The most well-known diversity information resources, formerly TRIS resources. Business.com contains an international directory of 65,000 business categories, and other directories can be found on the attached file, this sucker right here. So U.S. Small Business Administration, minority-owned business directories, diversity information resources, business.com, SCORE, internet resources for minority business owners, and business research services, minority-owned, women-owned businesses. Then women-owned businesses, the National Association of Women Business Owners, and the Women's Business Enterprise National Council, WINBEC. And then there's minority-owned business development councils, the National Minority Supplier Development Council and National Minority Business Council. And then there's local chambers of commerce. So the Asian Business Association, the Black Association of Los Angeles, Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce, Latin Business Association, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, National Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce, Greater Los Angeles African American Chamber of Commerce, National Black Chamber of Commerce. Refer to the Encyclopedia of Associations. There's a whole bunch of them in there. They all have information on minority businesses. Many entities, including cities, countries, states, and individual organizations, and local minority purchasing councils conduct business fairs. You can find a sample at BizFair. Strategic participation. So executive selection, having executive sponsors for diversity initiatives has become the norm within most companies. Organizations know that what gets measured and supported by top management will succeed. And working closely with executives on messaging and engagement practices will set expectations for both internal stakeholders and diverse suppliers. Organizational intent, clear expectations of how supplier diversity policies will be used is important. And it's a waste of time to only put these items on a website and not take any action. Supplier diversity programs have stated goals, and these must be achieved. And then fiduciary responsibilities. In the past, supplier diversity programs were often given only lip service, so there's no metrics to quantify. The perception of costs going up when such programs are implemented has been the norm. And supplier diversity initiatives now are demonstrating they are not only good for brand recognition, but also for increased profits because they bring more competition to the supply base. It's imperative for companies to communicate such success stories to their stakeholders. Which of the following is least effective when preparing and delivering a diversity presentation to executives? Elaborating on main points if time allows. Maybe. Preparing written backup materials with more detail. Yeah, that's something that's probably good. Putting diversity issues in context of the organization as a whole. That's probably a good thing. Using visual aids and graphic illustrations. That's probably a good thing. Preparing written backup materials with more detail, putting diversity issues in context of the organization at home. Which one is least effective? Probably A, I would guess. Let's see what these guys say. Yeah, that bring on main points is correct because focusing on key information is important when addressing executives. A clear, concise presentation shows respect for their time, understanding. Oh, so they're saying be short, sweet, and to the point, not elaborate. Okay. Availability of a wide range of life experiences, various cultures, personalities, and total diversity is a good description of which of the following. The project team of an organization, maybe. Average US population, maybe. General breakdown of the population of an organization, no. Supply management cross-functional team, maybe. Tells me they're going to want to go with the supply management cross-functional team. See if D is the correct answer. It is. Sometimes you can just tell which way they're going to go. All right. Summary. When a supplier diversity initiative takes shape, it needs to be communicated to all employees as everyone has a role to play in its success. Supply management professionals should look for various advocacy groups and boards to articulate the company's strategic position in various initiatives on supplier diversity. And supply management professionals should be acquainted with all available resources, including professional and trade associations managing diverse suppliers. Okay, let's go do some questions here. I think we got 5 of them today. K4. Yep. All right, get started on them. We'll go over answers in a few minutes. Okay. Number 1 is Bravo. 2 is Charlie. 3 is Alpha. 4 is Delta. And 5 is Bravo. All right. Tomorrow we start into the L series.